Hey, what's going on, people? Welcome back to Chat with Kip Podcast. I have a super cool guest with me today. I call him my money guy. I always introduce him as my money guy. He handles all my financial planning, give me financial advice. And he's just a man, super great guy. It's funny, he used to teach one of my employees back in the day. And man, I got some super good information for y'all to hear. So without further ado, I want y'all to give a warm welcome to Bill Giffen with Centric Advisors. My money guy, man. So let's talk about money. Introduce yourself and let's start getting into Centric.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Kip. It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate the invite, and I'm looking forward to talking with everybody.
Absolutely. So I know you helped me with my finances and get me on the right plan, especially when I really wasn't making too much money at the beginning. Now I got a little bit more money to play with, which we need to dig in a little bit deep on my personal stuff, but we'll get to that later. But to give some advice to the people, like tell us a little bit about Centric and how you got started into being a financial advisor.
So I got into the financial advisor world. I used to teach high school theater, which is where I taught taught,
Drake,
taught our
okay,
friend
okay.
Drake,
And
right?
they probably know Drake. So yeah,
So
absolutely.
you know Drake from working with Kip. Then I was one of his high school theater teachers. Great guy, great kid,
Absolutely.
great man now,
Yep,
and everything.
yep.
Doing
He's doing
great
awesome.
things. I very much like looking at his success and see his
Gotcha.
trajectory. Right.
Absolutely. Yep.
It's always a pleasure to see those former students, start taking
I'm
off
sure. I'm sure.
and life and everything. But I got into the industry after teaching for about 8 or 9 years. I got burnt out.
Okay.
Wanted to be able to act for myself. I know we're going to talk about that later,
Oh, it's gonna be a good
but
one.
I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. Didn't know what was out there, what was available to me. A recruiter from a supplemental insurance company
Wow.
called me in the middle of summer and said, "Hey, educators do really well in our industry. We'd love to have you come in for an overview." I'm like, okay, because I was just open to seeing what else was out there.
Okay. Okay.
My inner monologue was going, I don't know jack about insurance, and I don't want to sell anything because I don't like to be sold.
Right.
But I was open,
Okay.
so
Okay.
I went in. In the meantime, when I left teaching, I took out my TRS. That's the retirement services for teachers and educators,
Okay.
the Texas retirement system. Well, I had built up about $30,000 in that account.
Okay.
So I took it out to live on for the next 6, 9 months. But doing that, I said to myself, did the math, I was like, I never would have been able to retire.
Gotcha. It's not
So
enough. Absolutely. I agree with you.
that's a huge impact mentally,
Right.
right? So I went into the supplemental insurance company. The regional guy came out, just talked to us like we're talking right here.
Yeah.
So very conversational.
Okay.
Which I was like, all right, cool. You got my attention now. If you would have come out and been like, rah rah, we're gonna get you $100,000 in your first year. You're gonna be rich. Da, da, da.
It would have been out the door.
Out the door. Exactly.
Yeah.
So he talked for about 10 minutes, very conversationally, let us know, how the history of the company, how the policies worked and the basic pricing. Well, once I heard that, I really connected with those policies
Okay.
because when I was 27, I had cancer.
Okay.
So I was back home living with my parents after college, working at the mall, substitute teaching, not making enough money to have insurance, already aged out from my parents' insurance. So what are you going to do?
Right.
Fortunately, a friend of my mom said, "Hey, why don't you look in applying to state assistance?"
Okay.
So we did. Fortunately, I made so little money that I
Gotcha.
got
You
accepted
qualified.
into the
Okay. Okay.
program, qualified. So thankfully, I caught it so early, it was only like a centimeter in
Okay.
diameter.
Okay. Okay.
So they did the surgery. Then I went through 6 weeks of preventative chemo.
Right.
Um, and yeah, that experience was not fun.
I'm sure, man.
Um,
Like,
so all of that also helped to influence where I'm at today and with what I'm doing within the financial world and my
okay.
team at Centric that I work with.
Which is amazing. Like I met some of your team members at Centric and they super awesome, super down to earth. I feel like y'all can adapt and conversate with anybody from very low income to super high income earners and everything in between. So man, it's like amazing that your team is so adaptable to talking with everybody. And Man, you super adaptive. Like I invite Bill to come hang out at the house. We play poker. We have swim parties, and my friends are all over the board. I got high school teammates, friends from college, frat brothers, like everybody. We're really, really
Yeah,
diverse, right? And I,
exactly.
I like that because we can help everybody. Let's help the masses. Like let's put that information and education out there to them.
Right, and there's nothing wrong with giving advice to people. You know, if it's not the right fit, not the right client, that's fine.
Yep.
But you can give
At
them
least present
advice,
them and let them know
give them
some
some
options
nuggets,
and let
give
them
them
know.
some things.
Yep,
Or let
absolutely.
me introduce you to somebody I know that I think would be a better fit for you to work with.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll talk with anybody, give them that nuggets. I'm very fortunate. I think you always hear the phrase, make sure that you get the experts and work with the experts. Well, that's what I did. I found the
Which is good.
place.
I do
I
the
got
same
the
thing.
experts around me
Yep.
so that when I meet people with needs and goals and have that growth mindset, then bring them in, talk with the team, talk with the experts, and let's get something together. So
Absolutely. Yep.
I joined a networking group about 6 months in.
Okay.
Oscar Mondragon, one of the founders of Centric, was in that networking group, and that's how we developed a relationship. And he said one day, "Hey, I think you could do a lot better to impact people's lives
Okay.
on this side of business than where you're currently at." And so, thought about it. We had a couple more conversations, and then I said, "Okay, let's go." So
Gotcha.
that's
That's
how I
that.
got involved.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay. So let's get right into it.
Okay.
So when I kind of discuss some of my goals and plans, I know you gave me an outline to fill out. What would you say is the first steps in the process into contacting you and getting started? Like, what does that process look like?
So the first step is, number one, yeah, get in contact with me. I'll talk a little bit. We're gonna have a brief conversation about what's on your mind, what
Okay.
prompted you to reach out,
Yep.
and then find a good time for us to meet with the team
Okay.
to have that first real conversation to come into the office, or if we need to, we can do it on Teams or virtually. To have that conversation, but that first conversation really is to get to know about you
Okay.
because
And I'm
our
sure everybody's situation is really specific to them and to their
correct.
families and to their goals and aspirations. So,
Yes, and if you don't get to know them, you're not gonna get to know that information, and if you're just sitting there asking them about their money and finding out, "Okay, well, what accounts do you have?"
right.
We wanna get to know the person
Absolutely. And I
and the
like that you
family.
like that. I like that you like to get to know the people,
Yeah,
right? Because with me, I mean, you really kind of took it under my wing and was like, "Hey, man, Kip, let's hang out. Let's really get to know each other. I want to know what your goals are." We had multiple
yeah,
conversations about where I want to be in the next 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, how I
yes,
want to retire, who I want to get this money to, how I'm gonna have money to give to somebody. So it was a lot. I mean, it was definitely a lot, but I feel like it's very beneficial. I'm still at my goals because I think we met or we started maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
right.
And now I'm actually putting some stuff in place and now I got some little funds to play with. So I'm looking forward to you and your team helping me out.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
and you're right when you say you have different time frames, right? So,
absolutely.
what's your goals for the short term? Right? The next 2 to 3 years. What's the goal for the midterm?
Yep,
Those 5 to 7 years. And then what's that long-term goal of 20, 30, 40, retirement? You have
absolutely.
all of those different timelines. So you want to make sure you're hitting all of those and,
Yeah.
and taking account for all of those different
Absolutely.
positions.
And we know life constantly changes, right?
Exactly.
Like we know we have this plan, but we might have to pivot and do some different things when certain things happen in the economy, in the market, especially in the real estate side of it. It changes quite a bit, like yearly it changes. So we know we have to pivot,
Right.
change some goals out, and do some different things differently to get to the next plan.
Right.
So we know you have to be very, 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 I guess, fluid
Mhm.
in the goals that we are setting.
Correct, correct. Things change. That's why it's great to work with a professional and a financial planner to have that plan in place for those things. In addition to investments and investing, but having that plan and a clear pathway so you know what to do and when to do it and when to pivot when it's time to pivot
Absolutely. Yep.
when things come up.
Yep. So I always ask my guests, give me their top three things that they want a client to do or advice of, I guess, top three advice items that somebody new coming in. What would you be like? Hey, you need life insurance. You need a 401k. I mean, what was those your top three? generically speaking, because everybody's situation is different, but we're
Right.
just like, hey, l- let's talk about these top three things that I think everybody should at least know about.
Well, that's I mean, yeah, that's hard. That's a hard
It is a
question
hard one.
to
It is a hard
to
one. Let's say for the
answer.
mass. Let's say for an
So
average, I guess your
s-
average client.
so it's going to be different for everybody.
Yep.
That's just the
Okay.
that's just the way it is, right?
Yep.
So getting to know you, that's where we'll find out what those conversations need to
Okay.
be, but to be about, to talk about those two or three things for, Kip Edwards.
Yep.
If we go to John Smith down the street, we're not going to be talking about the
About the
same
same
three
exact thing.
things as
Gotcha.
Kip
Okay.
Edwards. So that's why it's really hard
Okay. Okay.
to get into. But one thing I will talk about that I think is very important that a lot of people don't understand the history of
Okay.
is taxes.
Oh, let's hear that.
And
Yep.
I think a lot of people are concerned about taxes and do want to talk about taxes and how to reduce taxes or things of that
Absolutely,
nature,
because I
right?
own a tax business, so I would
Exactly.
love to get this information to my clients, and I know tax seasons. We gearing up for it already. We training some time new tax preparers to get them allocated to do people taxes. So let's talk about it. Like what would be some good tips or advice about taxes?
So, first, I think a mistake a lot of tax professionals make, and it's just a conversation. It's something, let's
Yep.
talk about it. Let's bring it up. Let's help you. We have a lot of tax professionals we work with, and
Perfect.
we have to have that good relationship to
Yep.
talk back and forth for the mutual client.
Absolutely.
Because if you're talking with your tax professional and working with each other,
Yep.
it's just going to be the best outcome and experience for the client. Otherwise, you now have a tennis match,
I totally
right?
agree with you. I
Well, my
totally agree.
tax professional said this. They go back to the tax professional. Well, my financial advisor said this. So now you have a tennis match.
Right.
So everybody get on the same page, right? But I think a mistake where a lot of tax professionals make or don't think about is a lot of times they're thinking about deductions now and they're not thinking about the implications in the future
Okay.
20, 30, 40, 50 years from now. Both are extremely important in the position you put yourself into on both sides, the short term and the long term, as to what's going to be lost to taxes. So let's talk about the history of taxes,
Okay.
which is what a lot of people don't know about, right? So when taxes came into income tax, federal
Mhm.
income tax came in like 1913 or whatever,
Okay.
the top tax bracket was 7%.
Okay. Oh wow, that's way different
7%.
than it is now.
And the way they got it passed, right, was this is only going to be taxed on the rich,
Yep.
the highest 1%.
Okay.
Within 4 years it shoots up. After for about 30, 40 years from like 1930 to like 1980 something, the taxes were between 70 and 90%
Oh
on the
wow.
highest tax bracket.
Wow.
For 2 years in a row, like 1945, 1946, or 44, 45, I don't exactly remember, the highest tax bracket was 94%. There was a 10-year stretch from like 53 to 64 that it was 91%, a 10-year run straight,
Okay. What man.
right?
Yep.
So it wasn't until Ronald Reagan in the 80s dropped it to that 38%, right?
Okay.
But if you were to ask people today, are we in the worst tax times ever? They're
Of
going to
course,
say
right?
yes
Yeah.
because they don't understand the history. They weren't taught. They weren't with it's not in their face, right?
Right.
Much like
Absolutely.
in real estate,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
70s and 80s, what were those
The
interest
interest rate
rates
was
like?
high, like back in the day, right? And everybody was still buying houses.
17,
But I feel like the
18%,
prices is
20.
also lower too at the time, right?
Right. But it's still their
Yep. But it's
incomes
still
weren't the
crazy.
incomes
What
of
the income was
today,
lower. You're right about that as
right?
well.
So we have to keep that in mind because with the deficit the way it is today, it is mathematically impossible for the tax rates to stay this low because there's two ways to get rid of the national debt. And that is one, you know, decrease their spending.
Right.
What have they shown they're not willing to do?
Yeah.
We're just moving things around
That's
and
it.
saying we're cutting money. I don't think so. And the other is to increase taxes.
Right.
Some
Okay.
of the software that we use, the advanced software that we use for financial planning and investing, on those platforms, it's saying in big red letters to us, make sure you are talking to your clients about tax-free buckets of money
Right.
because it is impossible for tax rates to stay this low.
Gotcha.
So I
Okay.
think that is something that everybody has to keep in mind and start looking at the ways that they can contribute to tax-free buckets of money.
Absolutely. Do you think the tax brackets will change here in the next, say, 2 to 3 years?
It depends. It's whoever's in the house,
Gotcha. Okay.
whoever's running things,
Yep.
right? Right now, they're talking about eliminating taxes for people who make 200 and below.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, what if they do that? Okay, what happens when the next
You
administration comes?
have to give it
Reverse all
back,
of that.
right? Yep. Yep.
It changes and it's constantly fluid. So we would advise, and of course, everything I say is educational purposes.
Right.
This is not advice, educational purposes and talking and
Yeah.
talking about ideas,
Right.
right? Is no matter what, make sure you are looking into to those buckets
Okay.
because you don't want to retire in 20, 30 years, have your 401k, traditional 401k, not a Roth side of 401k, but a
Right.
traditional 401k and retire and the tax bracket's 50%. Now all of a sudden that 401k is a 201k,
Wow.
right?
Yep.
Because it cut in half.
Oh man, we're gonna have to have you back just to talk about taxes alone. Like, especially since tax season coming up,
Right.
and I want to make sure my clients is well educated on things that's going on regarding taxes. I know one of the first products that I started with was life insurance,
Right.
and I want to make sure we touch on that because y'all have some amazing life insurance product, whether it's for investing, um, tax deductible things, items. I'm not too much. That's why I have you. I don't talk too much about finance or anything investment wise, unless it's real estate. But it's like stocks, mutual funds, bonds.
Mhm.
But to me, life insurance was really, really important at the time because I wanted to leave a legacy for my kids
Right.
and make sure they was well taken care of. Just in God forbid something happens to me, which we know life can happen anytime, any moment. So let's talk. Let's touch on a couple of life insurance products
Sure.
and kind of give them some knowledge on what they can expect when they talk to you about some of these products as well.
Right. Well, first, you said something, and I like that you said it because it's a great kind of transition into it, right?
Okay.
So you said, God forbid if something happens to me.
Yep. I mean,
Right.
it's gonna happen. We
Well,
know something's
let's,
gonna happen eventually. So
you
it's just the
know,
time.
so it's
We
not
already know it's gonna
it's
happen.
not if, Kip, it's
Yep. It's
when.
when. You
It's
right.
when.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
when it's going to happen to you.
Right.
And we don't know.
Yep.
I could leave here today and be hit
Especially in
and
Houston,
gone.
right? Yep.
Especially in Houston. We both drove up here. We both
Right.
had our fun time with the traffic, right? But you never know when. I mean, I had cancer when I was 27.
Hmm.
What if that wouldn't have worked out and
Right.
I passed away?
Hmm.
It doesn't discriminate and you don't know when your time is that you're going to go.
Right.
So, you know, I always applaud people whenever they put that protection in place.
Hmm.
So great job for you for taking that step to make sure that that protection is in place. But it's not an if, it's a when something is going to happen.
Right.
So how can you protect your family? And that's a great way. There's life insurance has evolved so much over the years. It's not just death protection now, which I mean that's a huge part of it, but it's also you can use it living
Okay. Yeah.
now. There are some life insurance companies that have living benefits. So if you have heart attack, a stroke, cancer, a traumatic brain injury, you can pull from the death benefit if it has those living benefits to use to offset those costs because it's very expensive.
Right.
Even if you do have health insurance, you still have deductibles, out of pocket costs. You still have to pay your bills, all
Yep.
things that we're probably going to need help with going through that. So it
Okay.
allows you to concentrate on healing and getting better. Um, in that fact. So it's huge when those policies and those companies have those living benefits involved with it. So,
Okay.
so there are two types of life insurance policies out there. There's term. So a term is just that. You have life insurance for a set amount of time, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And it's usually going to be the same cost throughout that time frame, whatever
Right.
your death benefit looks like. We recommend, and a lot of people recommend 10 to 15 times whatever your annual income is. And so most people will say, well, why do I need that much? Well, okay, let's break it down. Let's say you're married, right? And your spouse passes away. Or let's say you're married and you're like, you go up to your spouse and say, you know what? You can stop working. We don't need your income anymore. It's okay. You can
Right.
stop working. Okay. So that's what happens when you pass away before you both have retired.
Right.
You lose that income. You both are planning and working with both of your incomes, and now you lose one.
Correct. Yep.
So you have to plan for all of those years of missing income that would be coming in for the family,
Right.
especially if you have kids, right? Because you got college planning to do. If you are planning to help with their college, some people don't. They're like, hey, you're going to have to figure it on your own. But that's your values. We don't impose our values onto you. We want to know your goals and values
Absolutely.
to make
Yep.
sure you are set up properly within the right policy to hit those goals that you are looking for, right? So that's going to be 10-year, 20-year, 30-year term for a time frame. And then after that, you either have to renew and get re-underwritten, or sometimes in that time frame, a lot of companies' policies have a convertibility portion to them so that you can convert it over to a permanent policy. And usually, a lot of companies have it without new underwriting.
Okay.
So you don't have to go through underwriting anymore if that company and that policy has that ability. You would just be, pardon me, you would just be at your new age
Gotcha. Okay.
time frame, because a lot can happen within
Oh,
10, 20, 30
absolutely.
years
Yep.
of having a term policy. You might develop diabetes, you might get high cholesterol, you might get high blood pressure and different things. You might lose some functions of mobility. So it's kind of very important to get as young as you can to start that process
I
within
agree.
life insurance, because you don't know what the future is gonna bring. So you might as well get it as healthy as you can
Yep.
and as young as you can, and that will help
Some
decrease
premiums
the
a bit lower.
premiums, as
Absolutely.
well as make sure you are protected for the long run for when that event happens.
Okay.
And as you grow and mature and do better in life and do better in business, then you can convert it or add more life insurance to it um, to be the effective amount of life insurance you need to protect yourself. So
Absolutely.
then you have permanent products,
Okay.
permanent
Yep.
policies, which could be whole life or index universal life. And these policies, you pay into it and it will have a cash value side to it that can grow, that as you are building that cash value within it, it's usually indexed to some index or something. Let's take the S&P 500
Okay.
for example.
Hmm.
So depending on the S&P 500 how that does, then that's depending on the the interest that will be accredited to
Absolutely.
your
Yep.
account. Sometimes there are caps and floors.
Okay.
So for example, if you have an index universal life and you go with the S&P 500 as your index, there's a floor of 0, and let's say that year the cap is at 9.75%, right? So if the S&P does 20% that year, you're capped at 9.75%. So you're going to get that 9.75%,
Yep.
right? So that's great. Now, let's say the next year the S&P does
Drops.
negative
Hmm.
10%. Well, since there's a floor of 0, you don't lose any money.
Okay.
So you're still at where you got from the previous year with that 9.75% that you earned. It doesn't go down. It just stays right
It's like
there.
a win-win.
Exactly.
Okay. It's like a
So
no-brainer on that product. Okay.
exactly. But those policies aren't right for everybody.
Okay.
Again, you have to make sure it's right for that person and advise them appropriately to make sure it is the right policy for their goals, values, as well as their money situation.
Okay.
You got to find out what's coming in versus what's going out.
Right.
Can they afford it?
Yep.
Is it the right policy?
Okay.
All of those things to take into consideration. But it
Okay.
is a great opportunity and it's a great buffer asset as well. Because when things are going down sideways, you have this
Still
over
have something
here
to kind of
to help make
Yep.
sure an offset.
I like it.
So I thoroughly believe it should be a part of everybody's financial plan.
Okay.
One way or the other, do your research, talk with the professionals, make sure it is right and appropriate for you all
Okay.
and what you're trying to accomplish.
Gotcha.
But you can take, as that cash value is building up, um, you can take loans from it.
Okay.
So sometimes, I mean, the IULs can take time to build up
Right.
because a lot of the fees are front loaded. So it takes a while. This is a crock pot. It's not a microwave. Not a microwave. It's a crock pot. So you're going to have
But
to
you know, some
wait.
of the best things are in the crock pot, so I go
Exactly.
with it. Yep.
Exactly. So as that's growing, let's say, after 8 years or so, the surrender value is kind of equal to what the accumulation value is.
Okay.
And let's say, you might want to take a loan
Yep.
in the form of a loan from that policy to go pay for something. Maybe you need a new car. Maybe you want to help with a
Yep.
child's
Or investing in real
tuition
estate, right? Like,
or
yeah,
take it to invest in a property.
yep.
You know what? I want to spend $10,000. Let me take it out of my life insurance with the form of a loan, in the form of a loan,
Right.
because
Absolutely.
that's where you get the tax-free benefits
Yep.
on taking cash out of your life insurance.
Oh, wow.
Another thing is and you don't necessarily have to pay it back.
Okay.
But of course, you pay it back, it's going to keep performing as
Yep.
efficiently as possible as it's designed to do. You
Okay.
don't pay it back, it's the performance is going to
It's gonna
drag a little
right.
and
Yep.
everything, right? A lot of people also utilize it for supplemental retirement income.
Okay.
So if you are able to, you can let it grow and not touch it for however many years, and then start pulling in the form of a loan every year a tax-free supplemental retirement income,
Huh.
as little or as much as you want, depending on how you are designing it. If you are designing it for that specific purpose, right?
Okay. Right.
So it can offset. Let's say you're not able to get Social Security within your employment. So you might get a policy designed to build cash value to give you that Social Security like
Okay.
addition when you retire.
Yep.
Other people want to retire
Yep. I
early
definitely want to. So
because within investments, right, you really can't touch them till 59 and a half or
yep.
whatever. So if somebody wants to retire early at 55, but they can't start taking distributions from their IRAs or
Reti-
401ks or
mhm.
whatever for
Yeah.
another 4 or 5 years, well, maybe they get a policy to build something up to where they'll have an annual income where they don't have to worry about that. They can live off that for 4 or 5 years easily. And then once they start taking distributions whenever they want, that's just even more.
Yeah.
So
Nah,
it's
definitely
a
makes sense.
very flexible strategy,
Okay.
and it can get a lot more involved and in depth for business owners.
I'm
So there are
sure.
a lot of things within life insurance that business owners love to take advantage of, and
Hmm.
that are they don't really know about or aware about, that we love to educate them on
Okay.
and introduce them to. So
Gotcha. Okay. Well, before we let you go, I
yeah,
want you to what's your ideal client? Like, who is your target market? What kind of clients do you want to see or talk to? I know you'll talk to everybody, give them some guidance, even they can't be a client right now.
all right.
Maybe later on.
Mhm.
So, what is your ideal client, though?
It's a great question. Everybody asks that.
Yeah,
I'm sure you get asked that
I'm
as,
sure
as
all the
as
time.
well all
Yep.
the
Yep.
time, right? What's your best client? So for us, the ideal client and the best client is somebody who's growth minded, somebody who sees the value in working with a professional and wants to work with a professional, and they're committed. That makes the best client.
Okay.
If you hit those things, it's going to be a great relationship. You're going to work together. You're going to have a long, fruitful relationship. So that's
Absolutely.
really what
Okay.
makes the best client. Um, One of the hardest things, I'll kind of
Hey,
transition from what's
that's
the
it.
best to what's the
Okay. Let me
hardest.
hear what you got.
One of the hardest things about our industry is when you meet with someone or meet with a family and you know you can help them, you've shown them how you can help them, but they don't proceed
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason. And that's their reason,
Yep.
whether it's fear, whether they're just not ready yet to make that commitment or whatever. But when you know that you can get somebody to where they want to go to and how they want to live, because really our goal is to empower people
Mm-hmm.
to live their best life.
No, that's perfect, man.
That's our goal.
I mean, that's our mission here as well. When I even created the podcast, it's all about educating, and I tell them knowledge is power. I feel like if we have the tools and education, we can make proper decisions, right, about our life. So I think it's very, very, very important. At least get the knowledge, right?
Right.
Get as much education as possible about the items that you want to figure out, about the things that you want to know. I think is very, very important. So how do people get in contact with you? Give us our handles, social media, phone numbers, emails. How can they contact Bill Giffen?
Yeah, so social media, I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. It's William B. Giffen on those sites. Feel free to email me, call me. I'm
Absolutely.
sure Kip will put the
Oh,
information
you know
out
I
there
will.
for
Yep.
us
We'll have
and
definitely put
everything.
it on the screen and everything. Once we have the video go live. But man, thank you so much for your time this
You're
morning,
welcome.
and I can't wait till we talk about your acting career here shortly. But make sure y'all like, subscribe, follow, share the Chat with Kip podcast, especially this one with Bill Giffen. Great financial knowledge. So remember, knowledge is power. Thank you.